Droppin Gems, Time for Change Tuesdays. We are in 2026, okay? 2026. You know, when you're younger, you just don't believe that you're going to live to see 2026, and then you live to see 2025 and 2024 and 2023, and you realize that the time is not waiting for anyone. Time is not waiting for anyone. So, you know, that is what we're up against. You know, y'all, I created a whole year of video, a whole year of skills, a whole year of understanding entrepreneurship in a different way. You are now equipped. You are actively working in your business. You are identifying ways to procure your business to make it a little bit better. You are figuring out things that I wouldn't even be able to tell you unless you had episodes 1 through 27 to support you in understanding entrepreneurship in a different way. I could not be more proud of you. I'm extremely excited about your success and about years to come. This particular episode, I wanted to do a little bit different, and I wanted to do a shift because in the midst of me doing all of those things and everything that I have done and all of the things that had gotten done, the one thing that is needed in entrepreneurship is your mental capacity to do, your physical capacity to do. And we touched a little bit on health, you know, but I really didn't get into health and understanding what it really means to be healthy. You know, you have the physical components, you have the mental components, and you have the emotional components. And, you know, being an entrepreneur, you go through so much in trying to figure out what is going on. The average business owner has the energy. They're a little bit younger, they're equipped. But as an older business owner or an owner that is going into mid-life, you have to consider, yes, the exercise, but you also have to consider, you know, the mental health component. Now, luckily, in our field, and I say our clinicians field, we are connected to understanding that we need a clinical employment, right? Piece and component. So we need that clinical component to survive. So clinicians are rendered therapy, right? So we go and we seek therapy and we understand how mental health can affect all of the things that we do. So today I want to make sure that I spotlight that and I talk a little bit about that a little bit more, because it's important for you to understand that life is short, and your mental health, which has everything to do with your stress components, affects your physical components. Yeah, I know. And as we get older, we have to consider that we need to understand that those components have got to be connected and smooth driven. All right. In the midst of me doing Droppin Gems, we did all of these shows, right? We did all of these shows, and I was every other week, banging, and doing all of the work that I was doing with DC government. It was hard. It was hard, y'all. It was hard. But I wanted to make sure that I gave a complete look of the work, a complete scope of entrepreneurship in such a way that was going to make sure that you all were equipped with the basics of things. I've done that. I have done that. You could go back and look at episode 2 to understand episode 4. You could go back to look at episode 5 to understand episode 17. Okay? I have created a thing of work for you to look at, and for you to a catalog of work for you to flip through and for you to see. Now I want to talk about You know, how are you keeping equipped to deal with your mental health? Because hello, I went through a whole lot of mental health. I went through a whole lot of physical health changes in 2025, just taking on something extra, right? So see, entrepreneurs don't talk about that, but this is the clinician's perspective of business, right? So I want to make sure that I tell you about that, because clinicians are privy to having a psychotherapist to talk to ground them, to put them back in place when they're out of whack, or to look at, somebody else is looking at them bird eye view because somebody is giving them the opportunity to do so. But with Tanya Ridley, right, I was just like, wow, I've done so much off the cusp of coming out of a lot of different things in my life that was personal to me, that was close to me, right? And when you're going through something that's so personal and so close and innate into you and into your body, your mental health can take a toll, right? And we have to make sure that we are, one, if you're talking to another entrepreneur, empower them to think about that, because they need to be thinking about their mental health. But also, you need to be thinking about all of the personal stuff and the business stuff, the business, because it's operating. I have my business now. I have my businesses. They're operating. They're going to operate. And I have to work every day and separate my work and my personal in such a way that I sustain my mental health. Jim, all right? I have to be able to sustain my mental health. I cannot do that without recognizing that work is work, mental health and personal is personal, right? Personal things are personal. So you have to be able to deal with the personal and be equipped to talk about the personal with your clinician, with your therapist. So what am I saying? I'm saying that entrepreneurs need mental health support. You need mental health support. Now, you might have a group, right, of friends that you talk to. Those group of friends are going to still be the group of friends. They're going to talk to you. They're going to communicate with you. They're going to tell you good things. That's all great. That's all great, right? But then you have some things that happen when you exacerbate your stress, right? Due to personal and work stuff and growing, right? And when you exacerbate that, you have to be sure that you have a way of keeping it grounded. Hence the first episode of 2025, right? And making sure that you're grounded in your faith and grounded and you're rooted inside of understanding God, if that is what you do, if that is your thing. But making sure that you are paying attention, right, to the things that keep you grounded, right? Whether it's the person in your life, whether it's your kids, whether it's your friends, whether it's travel, whether it's all of the different things that you like to do and you like to, expose yourself to have a good, wholesome mental health, okay? Have a good, wholesome mental health. Mental health is so important in entrepreneurship because if you think about that, you focus, right? You use your mental capacity, and this is the clinician's perspective of business. So you're using your mental capacity to work on something so aimlessly, so focused, so strategic, right? I worked on that catalog of work last year to make it so strategic in helping you and helping other people, to make it slender but not too thick so that people can understand, right? But then what, right? Then what? What else are you concentrating on? What else do you feel like looks like something you're supposed to be doing personally? What else are you being inspired to do, right? So are you inspired to be with someone? Are you inspired to have a family? Are you inspired to be a good mom? Are you inspired to be a good grandma? Or are you inspired to be a good granddad or a father, right? What are these roles and these different things that affect your mental health, but also affect you being good at who you are, right? Who you are. The parts of personal and the parts of work should make you. And in this segment of 2026 and in these components that we will be talking about, it's going to be so important for you to pay attention to what really is going on personally that's affecting my work, and how can I separate the two. Right? It's not easy. Nobody is saying that that's easy. So when the hard gets going, right? When it gets hard, what are you doing to procure that? What are some of your rituals and the things that you're going to need? As a clinician, we could write off wellness. We could write off things that make us feel well. Okay? You can write it off too. If a spa makes you feel well, if going to the salon makes you feel well, if, whatever it is that makes you feel well, right? Meditation, yoga. These are things that's more mental health inclined versus physical health, right? Because we were talking about the physical health. Please keep in mind that they are connected. If you feel bad, you'll do bad. If you feel bad, you won't move. If you don't move, you don't make money, right? If you don't make money, then you don't move and you're not successful. All the things and the goals that you want to accomplish just doesn't get done. The mental piece in entrepreneurship, it's all about the mindset. The mindset of staying focused, the mindset of not letting the work or the personal stress you out. You have those two and they're working against each other at all times, and sometimes they bust ahead, right? So you have those two and they bust ahead, you got to pick a side. So that way you can grow to the next level of need for you as an entrepreneur. Change, right, is always necessary in the different stages and growth of entrepreneurship. Only certain people and things could be around a full-blown entrepreneur. Your life has now had a calling, and you have got to decide whether or not this is something for the people and the things that's around you. It doesn't make sense, right, to do some of the things that other people are doing if you have to be able to pass a background check in 50 states, if you have to be able to pee clean, right? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to drive without a license because you run a risk of different things that could happen to you. All of these things are important for you to understand because the risks and the benefits of your actions affect your mental health, which affects your entrepreneurship, which affects your personal and your work. Some things are so personal that you keep them private, right? When you keep things private, sometimes it busts ahead too, because you need to communicate. You need to talk about the things that personally affect you. This is why entrepreneurs need therapists. You need somebody to talk to ground you, to get you into understanding that this is work and this is personal. Sometimes you have to say it out loud. And when you say these things out loud to another person, they can articulate it better back to your brain to understand the slowdown, to understand if it's for you or if it's not for you. Now, y'all see, I'm not even reading today, okay? And I'm not, because I am speaking from a clinician's perspective. I've done this for 20 years. So me speaking about mental health is so, yeah, maybe not entrepreneurship. I ain't done for 20 years, done it for 10 next month. But for that long, right? I've been helping individuals to understand their mental health and understand how to grasp, right? Grasp their personal self, not losing themselves, but understanding that evolving results in shedding. And that shedding of people, shedding of things, shedding of habits. How timely is this on the great New Year's, the first episode? Because it's important for you to understand that if you are ultimately watching video 16, 17, and you're trying to catch up, you need to understand that something is holding you back. And personally, it might be in the way, which is affecting the stability of your mental health. And your mental health is needed for you to be a clear-headed entrepreneur and work effectively. Whether it's new people, whether it's old people, things get in the way. Things get in the way, and it's necessary for you to pay attention to it. You can't ignore it anymore. You have came into a new year. We've already talked about that. And coming into a new year, you have got to make sure that you procure your mental health in such a way that it's organized into those two big separate parts. Being, right, personal, and work. Now, we all love to do the things that we used to do. We always build habits. As humans, we build habits and things that we do. And what you have to start doing is, if it matches the actual type of work that you're trying to do, does it match the image of the person that you need to be for your work? Right? Because we have to understand that some of the shedding has got to come personally so that you can be the person you need to be professionally in your work environment, whatever that may be. All right? Now, I know that shedding is not easy, so that's why you need mental health. That is the whole purpose of this episode today. I'm coming on here to say that mental health helps you balance between those two things. Psychotherapy helps you balance between those two things. And if you did not think that you need mental health as an entrepreneur, just stop watching me. A clinician's perspective of business says that you do, okay? And it's going to be so imperative and important for you to recognize that. You do. You have to. It's the only way out. Being an entrepreneur, you come to an exfoliation process, right? And we talked about that in the last episode, that you have to exfoliate and become a new person. This is not at no expense. This is at an expense of things that are, or may be, or used to be important to you. Gem, some things and some people that were important to you will fall and shed. It's going to be important for you to identify your self-image in this. What it is that you need to look like to present to the world for work. And then identifying what it is about you in your personal that you need to present to get what you need from your external environment. These little nuances are affecting the entrepreneur's mental health all the time. All the time. And we've got to make sure that we're procuring the self. Yeah. Mental health is definitely necessary for you. To understand different things just don't work out and other things do work out. But the processing of that, the talking through that, I have any entrepreneur I know went through a shedding, metamorphosis, cocoon to a butterfly, and they have that story. They have that story because it's necessary to do so. If you thinking that you could just be the same person, because I'm Tanya Ridley from Southeast Washington, D.C. That's who I am. I was the same person when I was in college and all of that stuff, and I was the same person going through building business, and I'm the same person to the core of me. That's who I am. I am Tanya, right? To the core. But I also know that I am Tanya Ridley, the boss of Time for Change Consulting. I am an image for Droppin Gems and for entrepreneurs from Southeast. I'm not just the Southeast entrepreneur. I am an entrepreneur from Southeast that people are looking to say, hey, she's from Southeast. Like, if she could present this way, I can too. I'm a role model, right? For little girls that's looking up to me. I am so many different roles. And you are too. You are too. And the list of roles that you need to understand has everything to do with mental health. With feeling good about who you are. With understanding that without a doubt, you have two parts that you have to manage and keep together, personal and work. To understanding that it's not going to be easy and that the shedding does happen and that your life does change and you metamorph into something that you need to be for the other people that's looking up to you. It's all about the calling as well. All of the stuff in the inside has got to fit and protrude on the outside, right? I love looking at influencers and social media personalities and different people who do videos and they just authentically act like themselves, because that is like probably the best business to be in, to authentically be like yourself, right? But some businesses need metamorphosis. You cannot be an alcoholic if you want to be a CDL driver. You cannot be, a hairstylist and work 20 heads if you are physically unable to do so, right? You might have to metamorph and do something different and owning a shop or owning a school and having people work for you, but still doing the hair, right? Not being the driver, but having the drivers work for you. Not being, I can go on and on and on, right? If you have a stroke and you're unable to actually see things like you used to be able to see, paying somebody else to do it. Paying for somebody else to have the training to do it. You can still be the entrepreneur that you want to be, but you got to understand that the personal, whether it's health that you got to take care of, all of that stuff you got to be able to manage while you're in this career. It's things that I love to do that I'm implementing in my work because I want to dive into the work. I want to feel connected personally to the work. So I want to add some things that I would want to do in the work, right? And then that way I could possibly have the best of both worlds. Is that possible? I don't know. But the clinician's perspective of business is saying that you have two different things that you have to be able to manage, which affects the core of the mental health of the entrepreneur. And you have to be prepared for that. Yes, Gems. You have to be prepared for that. It's a no-brainer. I love that my show is called Droppin Gems and I'm talking and I have gems on. It's putting one and one together, but making it about who I am and who I am to you. Like, people know that I do gems. Your mental health is important. And so important that we got to fix those things alongside of you. I want to support you and help you with that. And in 2026, that is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to start educating you and making sure that you are aware of how to be more cognizant of your mental health. How to be more cognizant of what to do as an entrepreneur when you want some of that personal blended in with your work. And what does that look like? Now, if you want to watch the basics of business, then you go back to the other episodes in 2025 because we have left that in 2025. All right. Now, I might add a little sprinkle in there here, now and there, but let's focus on you. Let's focus on your mental health and make sure that you are equipped to move on to this next level. Because maybe that's why you didn't get far into my 1 through 27 videos. I didn't even put my glasses on today. I just talked to you all straight from the heart, straight from mental health perspectives and clinician from business, you know? And I just want to thank you for your time. Thank you for watching Droppin Gems. Welcome to the new year. I look forward to supporting you and understanding how you could be the best and most poised entrepreneurs that you could be. We'll have other little topics, but until then, thank you. Please follow, subscribe, and watch Droppin Gems on Time for Change Tuesdays, every other Tuesday. Thank you so much, and y'all have a wonderful day.